Alright, so since I was asked several times, I'm going to show you how I do staggered fused. I took little tidbits from a lot of a lot of coil builders I've seen on YouTube and just kind of made it my own. So, what you're going to need, quality wire. We're doing a 2736. So, 2736. Beetle on spool tamers, Amazon, 25 pack is like 13 bucks. They come in handy. Let's see. Next up, good cutters, ceramic pliers, pair of Leathermans. What I've already done is I've got my shot loaded up and my track set up. And what we're going to do now is straighten it out. I'm not going to lock it in just yet. So, starting fresh, take yourself about a 4-inch piece of wire. Cut it off, set it to the side. Try and position this a little bit better. Alright, so what we're going to do is just make a few loops. About a 1/2 inch to 1 inch away from the chuck. Set your spool down. What I do is I take a bag and I put it over the top of my spool so that I can loosen up tension on the core. Okay. And I'm going to take my setup. So let's show you that. So what I use is I use a button and I use a hoodie lock. Okay? The button came from a crafting set. Seriously, if you can't figure out where to get a button, you should stop now. Cord lock, however, came from USA ohm meters. These are extremely heavy duty. Take your 4-inch shot of wire, line up your two ends, space them out a little bit. Okay. Does it matter what orientation the button's in? No, but I prefer to use the domed side. Okay. Pass your two wires through the button, respectively in their own slots. Get them to pair up on the other side. Cord lock. Pass the wire through. Okay. Then simply snug it up a little bit. Leave yourself a little loop. You're going to take that loop, you're going to slide it over your shot of wire. You're going to line it up in the last space closest to the feed wire from your spool of 36 gauge. Now we're going to snug it up, ensuring that it's on the very last loop. This is where your pliers come in. Grab your two ends of your wire, give them a good firm tug, release the tension on the button with a hoodie lock. You should have something that looks like that. I'll grab my macro. Something that looks like that. Boy, that's difficult to get in there. Okay. Now everything's tightened up. We're just gonna go through and let the button do the spacing. Just gotta put our tension back on our core shot. Obviously most won't have a free hand to keep tension on their wire, but when you get to the other end of your wire, you'll loosen the button, free it up, then backspin. You backspin until your feed wire ends up in a down position like that. It was up here like this, but once it's nice and loose, it'll be down. You want to cut your wire close to the chuck. You want as much sticking past the chuck as possible. I'll explain in a minute. Okay, then we start over again. Spin it to get the twist out. Leave it free. Start your wire over again. The reason I use the cord lock with the button is because usually you have to use a new piece of wire every time. It's time consuming. The cord lock allows you to continually use it for about 4 to 6 space shots. Loosen it up. I always keep my wires facing me, the ones out at the bottom, so they're easier to grab. It also just helps for consistency and repetition, I guess. right, I stop about 1.5 inches from my swivel. The reason being is you need enough room on the end of your wire for it to move as you fuse it. So I stop 1 inch short and then backspin, and it gives me about 2 inches of play. Now we reset with both of them. But with both of them, we're only going to connect one to the chuck. Okay, let me grab, that's loose. Let me grab a pair of scissors. There's a lot of different ways that you can keep this other piece from flopping all over the place. Some guys use ribbon, some guys use wire, some guys use Legos. I use pieces of straw. What I do is I take scissors and I cut it up the center so I can remove them at the end. So this is the one that I use just at the very end. But okay, pretty straightforward stuff here. You cut the straw in half. Okay. Okay, so take you on a walk here. We've got them spaced out so that we don't end up with a whip effect, where if there's too much between here, that belly ends up becoming a giant loop. I'll start slapping all over the place and bad things happen. Okay, so we only connect one. We're getting ready to fuse it. And everybody thinks this is the most difficult part, but if your spacing is correct, it literally goes together like fused Clapton. So you have to make sure, however you space your wire, that it's consistent. Otherwise, this will never work out that well. your angle from your feed wire we got a little bunch up down at the end here. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to cut it back a little so it doesn't happen again. There. The angle from the feed wire to your shot is right around a 90 or a slight lead, similar to aliens. Tension, medium tension. You notice how the wire moves? Just want to retain that, that's all. Okay. Not enough angle. It's alright. You just back it up and start over. As you go, you just pull off the straws. Okay. Okay, so now you got all this twist. This is where these come in. Take your time with this part. usually don't get all of it out, but you can get a majority of it out. That is how I make Claptons. Fused, staggered Claptons. Is that how everybody does it? No. No, it's not. But I've tried a lot of different methods, and for me, this is the most consistent. I've never seen anybody do this, and I usually don't share it, but that little guy makes life much easier. Like I said, you slide it over your cores, cinch it down, you get to the end, you loosen it up, and you can reuse that. I usually go 4 to 6 shots of wire before I swap it out and put a new piece on. So hopefully this helps. Peace.